If the film Practical Magic taught us anything besides to always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder and keep rosemary by your garden gate, it's that magic can live in the everyday. In soft moonlight, in a handful of flower petals, or even in the shimmer of ink on a journal page. That's the kind of quiet magic I wanted to capture for October in my bullet journal. Hi, I'm Erin, and my birthday's in October, so big shout out to you if your birthday's in October too. And if it's not, we're all friends here. As ever, I'm working in my gold vintage A5 journal from TIEFOSSI, creators of fine notebooks and sponsors of this video. It might seem a bit early, but this is the time of year I always start thinking about what my journal lineup is going to be next year. Which notebook sizes do I want for my bullet journal, for the mystery journal, for my reading journal? Do I want to try commonplacing or move my memory keeping into its own journal? Are any of my long-term journals going to need replacing? If you're in a similar headspace, I couldn't recommend checking out TIEFOSSI's dot grid range enough. I've now used up 3 TIEFOSSI notebooks almost cover to cover, plus now more than half of my current journal, and I found them to be robust, resilient, and of course, so pretty. TIEFOSSI's range of A5s is massive, with a huge variety of covers, and even some with 256 pages if you find you're always using up your journals faster than you'd like. If you like the look of my gold vintage journal, you might be interested to hear they've recently released the same design in a B5. This is the green version, but they have the light blue too, as well as a few other gorgeous covers, and if you love a square, you're in luck there too. All TIEFOSSI's dot grid journals have 160 GSM paper, so you won't see any bleeding or ghosting, lay flat designs for ease of use, ribbon bookmarks, back pockets, pen holders, and numbered pages. And I'm always raving about their journals, but they do offer a range of other stationery too. Washi tapes and scrapbook papers and stickers and pens, so if you're about to dive into your first ever journal in 2026, you can get everything you need all in one place. And if you're keen to save some money, you can use my code ERINSMITH at checkout and get 10% off your order. I'm still not totally sure which journal sizes and covers I'm using for 2026, but I know there'll be plenty of TIEFOSSI represented in my lineup. Huge thanks to TIEFOSSI for making gorgeous things and for sponsoring this video. Now let's get set up for October. I mentioned this in my most recent mystery journal setup video too, but because October is my birthday month, I always find myself really torn between 2 styles that I love, which is a very witchy aesthetic and my standard comfort zone, which is florals. When I first laid eyes on this beautiful piece of vellum from Sterling Ink, which is from their January 2024 subscriptions, I believe, I thought this was the perfect way to walk the line of both, so I've actually been holding on to this paper for over a year, specifically for this October theme. And I have to give a huge shout out to Sarah from Heart Breathings because I kind of stole this idea completely from her. I first came across it in a video that we both collaborated on Jashi Corinne's channel, and it blew my mind. I thought, what a beautiful way to use vellum in your journal, kind of like an extra title page. It's a little bit transparent so you can kind of see what's going on behind it, but it just gives such a vibe. I've seen something similar done as an addition to a beautiful special edition hardback book or similar where you can put little tip-ins of the characters and things. I love the idea this is just kind of moving that into a bullet journal. And that was what I intended to use this vellum for the whole time. It's just taken me almost a year to really get around to it. And I was really lucky that I had a huge piece of it. In fact, I have the same piece twice. So rather than just having it as a tip-in on the right page, I'm going to add the left page as well and just have it sprawl all the way across the spread. The imagery on this paper I think is so stunning. It really mixes the florals that I love so much with the celestial themes in those kind of circular shapes. I feel like that's what really gives it the witchy vibe, and I loved the little bit of gold in it too. It's not a shiny gold, but I wanted to bring that out. So I got a little bit daring and I made my own stickers with the Cricut transfer foil because I wanted them to be really shiny and sparkly. I've made those on white sticker paper, but I need to kind of put down something of a background here. This is going to be my actual cover page, but you'll see it peek through a little bit through the vellum. There's a lot of just midnight blue splotchiness going on the paper, so I thought I could echo that a little bit with some fountain pen ink. The one I'm using here is Glistening Glass from Ferris Wheel Press, and it also has a gold shimmer, so I like the way it would tie in with the gold lettering on my stickers. I'm using a little glass ink spoon to make my splotches here, just kind of moving it in circular shapes. I'm going to move away from the ink spoon for the rest of the setup because I think it saturated my paper a little bit more than I really wanted. You'll see when we turn the page that some of this has bled through a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. I can cover it. While that dries down, I'm going to add a border to the page with some gold paint marker. This one is from ArtX, but I'll also be using a different one from Artistro. I love my gold paint markers. I have many. I drew myself a couple of little diamond stars in the center of the page to act as a bit of interest, but I'm actually going to cover those up in a little while, you'll see, because it's sort of funny. I'm covering them with the same thing in a different way. Because the ink and the colours in the paper before that are so dark, I wanted to keep things kind of light, keep lots of negative space going on in the page. So we're going to keep the focus right in the centre here. I'm going to add a little bit more ink to get this cloud really working the way I want it to. So I'm going to focus mostly on the centre. I'm colouring in an arch stamp here, a woodblock stamp from JOURNALSAY originally. You can't get this one on JOURNALSAY anymore, but I'll try to find it for you somewhere else. I love to colour in my stamps with paint markers, but I have found through the process of this setup that the one I used here from Artistro doesn't work quite as well as the one from ArtX on this stamp. So that's just something to note. And then I remembered the existence of these little star stickers. They are so lovely and they are much sharper and more precise than the ones that I drew for myself. So I just stuck them right over the top. I got these from JOURNALSAY as well, but those ones do still exist, so they'll be easy to find for you. And they come in silver too, which is great. One of the most wonderful things about using all of these little pieces from what was the Sterling Ink subscription pack is that everything already looks really great together. So I can add little stickers that perfectly match the vellum from the previous page. Just going to pop my October header over the top here. And I want a few more florals to embellish with. I don't have anything that's kind of the exact soft mauve of the prints, but I do have these pinks which are not too far off. And these ones are transfer stickers. So I'm just going to add those as a little bit of flavor, a little bit of embellishment. I'll sprinkle a few more of those gold stars around too, and then we'll be finished with the cover spread or page, or however you want to think of this little 3-page combo. It is kind of feeling like the cover of a fantasy book, and that makes me so happy. I'm technically not finished with this yet, but we'll come back to it at the end. For now, let's move on to our next spread, which is for my calendar or my monthly. You can see on the left page there where the ink has bled through from the previous. I'm just going to cover that up with a white paint marker in a moment, but first I'm going to put down my gold paint marker, which I'm using for the lines of my calendar. And I was feeling pretty lazy this time, so I thought I'd go ahead and freehand them, even though there are also some ruled elements elsewhere for the borders. For the functional parts, I was pretty happy to just jump in freehand and draw these lines a little bit wobbly, a little bit wavy. I have found using a ruler with the bullet nib on some of my paint markers can kind of carve up that nib a little bit and make it a bit frayed, and then you get a less precise line. So I try to avoid it, but for something like a border, there's not too much contact with the ruler going on there, so I think I can get away with it for that. But for this kind of extended use, I'd rather just freehand it and save my pen, at least for this setup. White paint marker to the rescue. We can't see any of that bleed through anymore, which is fantastic, and I am switching to a little paintbrush instead of my ink spoon so that I'm getting a lot less saturation on the page when I add my little ink clouds. I'm placing these ones right above the calendar boxes because I'm going to use it as an anchor for where I place my initial for each day of the week, so the M for Monday, T for Tuesday, and so on. The brush I'm using here is actually from a set from Kmart. It was very cheap. We still have Kmart in Australia. It's really funny. It actually has really taken off here. I picked up this brush set because I plan to use one of them with some glue to fix the spine on my reading journal, and I figured why not sacrifice one to, there's a lot of shimmer in this ink, and sometimes I'm not great about cleaning my brushes, so I thought I'd go with something very cheap for this setup, and I'm glad I did because I still haven't cleaned it. Don't tell anyone. I'm going to follow the shape of the calendar as far as decoration for the rest of this spread, so once we've got the clouds along the top of the calendar, I'm also going to put some bigger clouds in the bottom right corner and the top left. By the power of video editing, all of my ink is dry now, which means I can jump back in with my stickers and add my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday along the top row here. I am covering quite a bit of the ink in doing this because I made my circle stickers a certain size, but I'm okay with that. I feel like you can still see the continuity of the cloud behind it, and I really didn't want the gold of these letters to get lost, so happy to roll with it. Something I was a bit scared of though, this being my first time making gold foil stickers by myself, is making really tiny ones for the numbers. So instead I'm using this little sheet which is from Bloomsicle Paper Co, which is an excellent little Aussie stationery store. You can't get this sticker sheet anymore either, I'm so sorry. They don't have it listed on the website anymore, not even as a sold out item, so it may not be something they're bringing back. I've had it in my collection for quite some time, but I'm sure there are similar things out there, hopefully. From what I can tell, Bloomsicle Paper Co seem to do pretty short runs of their products, so you kind of have to be ready with a pre-order or like jump on it very quickly when they have things in stock because they always sell out, always. And with good reason, their stuff is so beautiful. Adding tiny stickers like this to a calendar is always a little bit of a tedious process, but with sticker tweezers you can make it a little bit easier, so I do recommend investing in some of those if you haven't already. Look at the shininess of this gold, it's making me so happy. I am going to struggle on with my stamps for a little while with the wrong pen before I work it out, so that's a bit frustrating. I'm even going to try and re-stamp some of them to try and get some more definition, but I am also working against the notebook a little bit, specifically on the left page, because I have obviously packed a bunch of stuff into this notebook already, and so it is no longer totally flat. It's quite convex, in fact. I didn't have my stamping pad from Printing Stamps London handy at this time, so I popped a glasses cleaning cloth behind it instead to give me a little bit of page squish, and that did help, but not quite as much as I was hoping, sadly. But that's okay, because I'm just using them as a layering element, so I'm going to put stickers over the top of this stuff anyway. Not to worry. It has finally occurred to me to try using a different marker here, so this is the one I used for all my lines. It means it's going to be a better colour match to my functional parts of the page too. Just restamping this, it's hard to tell on camera, but it did a way better job. I really like the way this decoration's looking, but it was feeling a little bit disjointed, so I'm going back to my good old border idea. This helps every time I don't know what to do to connect things on a page. Literally just drawing lines between them makes a huge difference. So once again, I'm doing my gold paint marker with a ruler, and I'm going to put tiny little stars in the gaps in the corners. I didn't actually realize when I was putting together the elements for this setup how many of the things I was choosing are not things that are available for purchase anymore. These lovely rose vinyl stickers I actually got from Stash World, which is a stationery store near me, on Stationery Store Day recently, and they're part of their Vintage Treasures collection, which means the owner of Stash World has found them on eBay. They're like dead stock or leftover stock from years and years ago from strange places. She finds all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and that means that there aren't any more of them. I'm so sorry. They do look like that classic scrapbooker kind of sticker though, so once again I will try and find you something similar to link in the description. I will always do my best to find you an alternative wherever I can. Every spread always needs a little bit of sparkle to kind of diffuse the edges and soften things up, so I added some more tiny stars, and then we can turn the page and move on to our next spread. This one has kind of a dual purpose. The left side is my habit tracker, and I'm just leaving space to track 4 habits here. I don't totally know which habits I'll be tracking yet, so I'm leaving the headings for each one blank for now, but you can use your imagination and fill in some generic habits there if you'd like. I'm not so much a don't break the chain habit tracker kind of person, but I do like to have a record of when I did things when I'm trying to build a new habit, or just make sure that I'm doing something regularly enough, so that's typically what I use this page for. I think that's pretty standard for a habit tracker. I'm going with the exact same page layout as last month because it's working really well for me. In fact, I'm actually going with the exact same page layouts for all of my spreads. I'm not changing anything up this month because they are really functioning well, so I don't want to mess with it when it's working. I've left some space at the top and bottom of the page to add some decoration, and I'm actually trying a little sneaky way that I'm approaching my decoration here. When I'm laying the ink down on the page, I'm trying to just make sure it's in the same spot that it was on the other side of that piece of paper. So if anything does bleed through, it kind of doesn't matter. facing page here, I have said in some videos in the past I never really know what to call this, but one of my lovely channel members suggested action dashboard, and I really like that. It's got some really good assonance. This page is divided into 4 sections, so it's kind of mirroring the setup that's on the habit tracker on the opposite side, and these are each for a different purpose. So the first one is for goal setting, goals for the month, just things that I want to tackle specifically in October. The second one is for favorites, so anything that I was really enjoying in that month, whatever it is, TV shows, food, colors, particular items of clothing, music, podcasts, whatever. The third one I call anticipating. This is where I'll write down anything I'm looking forward to in October. I find it's helpful to have something that you're excited about, just to kind of focus on that and give it some attention so that you're looking forward in a positive way. And the fourth section I call working on. So this is for any skills I'm trying to improve on, any particular habits that I'm really trying to introduce or resolve. For instance, something that I'll most likely be trying to work on in October is waking up earlier, because we are coming into the warmer weather side of the year in the Southern Hemisphere down here in Australia, and my office is one of the only rooms in my house that gets beautiful natural sunlight, and I love it for that, but it means it is an oven by like 2 p.m. in the warmer seasons, and then I can't really be in here. So I am trying to wake up earlier so I can get more stuff done in the morning before that happens, and then I can have chill afternoons in my air-conditioned living room. So that's something I'll be working on for October. Funnily enough, it goes against something that I have learned about myself through the spread that comes after this one over the course of this year, which is my routine spread, because I have worked out that I'm not so much a morning person, but I think it's just going to have to be the way it is because I work better at a desk, so I'm just going to have to do it in the mornings. I've actually done it before in previous years and it worked pretty well for me then, so I just need to get back into the habit and it'll all be okay. Let's turn the page and have a look at my routine spread. This one is something I've only been using over the course of 2025, but I found it really useful as a person who doesn't have a lot of built-in structure in my life to really work out what sort of routines work for me, find out how I work best over the course of the day, and then kind of tailor my life to fit what my body and what my lifestyle tell me will work for me. As a self-employed person, I really do kind of set all my own deadlines and make all my own rules, and so time can really get away from me and cease to have all meaning, and I'll have no idea what day it is if I'm not careful. So this spread helps me to work out when things work best for me, if there are particular days that I can be doing things in batches and be like, this is going to be a filming day and then that's going to be an editing day, and maybe that doesn't work for me at times and maybe it does at others. It's interesting to take a step back and kind of look at how you live your life and then be like, is this the best way to do this, or could I be doing something better? It has taken me all year to get to this point, but I do feel like I finally have something of a routine, and it's really nice because I know what's going to happen when I wake up. It's just a bit of a comforting thing because I've never really had that over the past 13 years of self-employment. I am so proud of my DIY'd foil stickers in this setup, but do you know what I think would have been super beautiful to really elevate it that I didn't have? I recently decluttered a lot of my stationery and I'm trying to keep things as minimal as I can while also having a stationery YouTube channel as my full-time job. And I think I need to get my hands on some blank washi paper so I can make washi stickers for myself, because I think some of those celestial kind of circle shapes from the paper and from some of these stickers would have made incredible accents, but I didn't have the time or the facilities available to make that happen for this particular setup, so that's something I'll definitely look into in the future. We've moved on to another spread now, and this one is one that I've introduced that has really helped with the whole routines thing, funnily enough. This one is a meal planner. I've included a meal planner in the mystery journal for the first half of this year, and while I've been editing those videos, I couldn't help but think, wow, I could really benefit from one of those, so here it is. I've recently started taking a medication that I have to have about 20 minutes before I eat, and it's made me have to really think about when I'm eating and to some extent what I'm eating, and so meal prepping has been really helpful for that. I am the kind of person who can eat the same thing on a loop over and over again for a pretty long time, as long as it's something that I like. So I've been meal prepping kind of big batches of food in advance, and then not having to think about what I'm eating has been really nice. I've been making kind of 2 things that I can just alternate between over the course of a week, and so I've set this up so that I have a week 1, a week 2, and a week 3 meal plan and a shopping list next to it in the column on the right. And then I can just cycle amongst the weeks and always have something sort of new, but that is tried and proven that I know I like. And this has been working really well for me so far. I've only been doing it throughout September, and we're only kind of a couple of weeks into September. So it's possible that it's not fully kind of baked yet. Haha, cooking pun. But it's going okay. So I'm just going to continue it like this until I know for sure if it needs to be changed or not. Our next spread is my content planner spread, and this one is all about prepping for YouTube videos and trying to make sure that things go out on the internet on time, which I wasn't so good at throughout August, but I think I've been a lot better in September. I'm feeling a lot better in general than I was a couple of months ago, so that's a very nice thing. This one uses what's called a rolling task list, or the Alistair method. So I'm making a grid here so I can set up the list of tasks that is my workflow for making a YouTube video on the left there. And then each of the vertical columns next to that, vertical columns, wow, that was redundant. Each of the columns next to that are a space for a video to go. And not every one of the workflow items is relevant to every video, but I do find it's useful to just have it kind of set out like a matrix like this, and then I can tick things off. In the past, I was writing myself a to-do list on every single space in the content planner, and that just didn't work at all. So I'm glad I'm doing things in a more efficient way now. I guess my brain is just working better all around. When I'm on schedule, I post to YouTube twice a week on Tuesday nights and Friday nights, or depending where you are, it can kind of come up more like Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings if you're in a similar time zone to me. So I have cross-referenced with my October calendar and determined that there are 10 spots in the course of October that would have a video go live if I post in every one of them. So that's how much space I've put on my content planner. Last month in September, it was 9, so it changes from month to month. And I even made these tiny little stickers of each part of my workflow so that I could make sure that my shiny was as represented on the page as possible. But I didn't group them in such a way that they were all kind of next to each other and in order on the sticker sheet, because I wanted it to be the most efficient use of the foil as possible. The way the foil works is that you kind of have to end up wasting a bit of it. So I let the Cricut decide the order it was going to print everything in, and then I had to sort of piece it back together myself, and I made some mistakes. That's okay. The stickers peeled up just fine, so all is well. feel like I've been singing the praises of tiny sparkle stickers a lot lately, but it really is because I think they're so useful. The way these really fill out the space here, I didn't have space really for any more of the stickers from my set. I'm trying to conserve some so that I still have some left over for weekly spreads later in the month that won't be in this video, but I had a bit of space here going on that I felt like needed something. And I'm filling it with these tiny stickers, just kind of sprinkling them all around, and they are doing exactly what I need them to do. It's kind of amazing how something so tiny can make such a big impact, but it just really pulled this spread together. Let's move on to our last one for this video. This will be the first of my weekly spreads. Bit of a variation here on a setup that I use all the time. I love my dividing the page into 6, doing it across 2 spreads, putting lots of boxes for the weekly planning spaces, weeklies. The Ruthie Journals weekly that I talk about all the time is one of my go-tos. This is very similar to that, but instead of having kind of erratically spaced boxes and having gaps in between them, this one leaves the space for decoration in the top left corner and the bottom right corner of the spread. And since I'm using my fountain pen ink and soaking through some of my pages occasionally and having some bleed through issues, I thought it would be better to keep the ink kind of relegated to specific areas that I can manage and control rather than having it spread somewhat all across the page. I have indeed DIY'd my stickers with my foil for all of the weeklies, but this time I was a little bit smarter about it than I have been in previous times when I've used stickers for this kind of thing, because I've included the last couple of days of September, the Monday, Tuesday that I'm wrapping around into this weekly, and I've also made a notes sticker for every single week of this month, just in case I want it when I'm setting it up. I'll be tucking those stickers into the back pocket of the journal so they're ready to go when I need them, so we'll just do the first weekly for this video, and the rest I'll set up hopefully on a live stream, but possibly off camera, because this time of year things just start to get so busy. So even though I'm getting my energy back, which is a wonderful thing, I still may not be able to do weekly live streams. I promise I'll bring them back for you as soon as I can. This weekly spread has turned out quite minimal, but I actually think it looks really pretty like this. I'm really enjoying the contrast of the gold over the dark blue. That's actually very visible in real life. It's a little trickier to see on camera, but it looks so good in person. And once I actually use this for planning throughout this first week of October, it will obviously look a little bit different with all of my notes in there. It won't be quite so empty, so I think it's a nice one. I really like this layout, and I'm going to probably use it a lot more often than I have been. Needs some flowers though, so let's get some of these transfer stickers down on the page. It was at this point when I finished up the weekly, I went to film the flip through for this video, and I thought there's just something missing from this first spread. Way back at the beginning when we just did that single piece from the left page to the tip-in on the right, I really like how it looks, but I feel like it could be elevated a bit, and I wanted to include a quote. So let's go back to the start and include a few more stickers that I made for this. I used a graphic from the Cricut store for this one, and then I was really disappointed that it didn't really transfer very well. That's on me. I chose the wrong pressure setting because, oh hello Mitsu, because I was trying to get the cut this time to be a little bit more kiss cut and a little bit less cut all the way through the page. It wasn't perfect on the first one. It doesn't let me choose the washi sheet option to cut on something that's been foiled. Unfortunately, I guess it doesn't think you can do that, so it's a bit of a trade-off. If you're familiar with the Cricut Design Space software at all, you'll know it's not the most intuitive thing in the world, and in this kind of project it asks you what pressure setting you want just universally for the whole project. So you can choose like default, more or less pressure, but I would like to be able to choose default pressure for the embossing for the like foil transfer, and then choose a lighter pressure for the actual cutting, but it won't let me do that, which is quite annoying. Not to worry, I have a gold paint marker and I'm not afraid to use it, so I just added some detail back into this sheet that kind of didn't work. Also, I found that the foil transfer only really does the edges of things, so it left my lettering quite hollow. Don't know if there's a workaround for that to make it fill it in or what. I've got a lot to learn when it comes to this because it was my first time trying it out. That means I kind of wasted $1.49 on the Cricut asset, but it's okay, I guess. Even though this isn't a super celestial theme, I wanted to go with a quote about stars because it is spooky season and it is my birthday month, and that makes you think of zodiac things and stuff. So I went with this one. I just googled star quotes and it was coming up a lot. This one's from Atticus. It is, "Choose your stars, fool, life is short." And I just thought that was cute and punchy, nice and short, and true. It's not a huge change to the cover spread here, but it is enough of a change. It's added that little bit of something that I felt it was missing, and I'm happy with it now, which means that this whole journal setup, once I've finished filling in some lines that were missing a little bit, very, very gently with the bullet end of this pen, is complete, and we can flip through it from start to finish. It's a bit of a departure from the witchy themes of previous years, but I do feel like it falls into that practical magic, apothecary, gentle magic kind of a vibe that I was really going for, and I think it's going to be a beautiful place to spend my time in October. Speaking of spending time, thank you so much for spending this time with me. It means the world to me that you would stick around and watch my video all the way to the end, so if you've done that, make sure that there is a moon emoji in your comment down below. I hope that you have a beautiful, soft, whimsical October that just feels like a warm hug from someone you love. I believe YouTube has this hype feature now, so if you really enjoyed this video, you can consider hyping it if you like. And if this October isn't quite your vibe, I have many years worth of October themes that you can check out if you need some different inspiration. Here is my whimsy goth theme that is a little bit more traditionally witchy in the mystery journal, and underneath that is my October theme from 2022, which was all about the florals.